O death, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting? Are words from a well-known poem. And one of the topics that we least like to talk about is death. And it's clearly referenced in our readings today. But before I get to talking about physical death, I would suggest to you that there are other types of death that we live with each and every day of our lives. There is a death that's associated with our spirit. And in spirit, I want to differentiate that between soul. I want to talk about that which makes us who we are as humans, that gets denigrated by society and by culture. Growing up, it was no big deal in my family for my grandfather to tell Polish jokes. He was Polish. So I grew up hearing about Polacks all the time. And his best friend, Johnny Monzo. Johnny'd come in the house and Pop would ask how the walk was doing. Not meaning anything by it. It was a term of endearment between these two best friends. But yet terms like that are used to denigrate as well. You've heard them. Sometimes women are referred to as whores. And if you will, bitches. We have the N word that is so offensive to black people. But there are offensive words that can be applied to all segments of society. And we have a tendency as a society to use them. Geeks, four eyes, fatso, faggot. Terms that are used to put people down. And that kills the spirit. But for you and I, it's not supposed to be that way. We're followers of Jesus. Jesus who gives hope, gives encouragement, who lifts up those that are put down. Remember the criticisms of the Lord elsewhere in Scriptures? He dines with sinners. Back then that included tax collectors. And given some of the stuff going on with the IRS today, maybe it's appropriate again. But the point is that Jesus revealed to you and to me in God's time, just as God revealed Jesus to Paul, causes us to be changed. Causes us to reach out to others in a different way. Causes us to look for ways to lift up those we meet. Yes. That happens particularly at funerals. I've been to some really sorrowful funerals. I attended one locally in another denomination in which the priest celebrating the funeral, she didn't even know the man's name. And thankfully the deacon assisting at that service at least knew something of the family and could pronounce the man's name correctly. I've been at others where the preacher has turned it into a hellfire and brimstone situation where you better change your lives in order that you don't end up like this poor guy in the coffin. And I keep wondering myself, where is that hope? Where is that spark of resurrection joy of a fellow Christian going home? And so it is in our funeral liturgies. We vest in white or purples. We light the Easter candle to recall the power of Christ even in death in our lives. But it always remains for we, the living, to do something for those that mourn, to assure them of God's love for them and for their departed. Those who die are only veiled from us in this existence. One day, you and I will follow in their paths. And it's not a path to necessarily desire, but it is the path of mortality that is the lot of humanity. But as we tread ever closer to that day when we're called home, it's not something to fear. Because you and I, as believers in Jesus, believers in the power of God to change us in this life, to unite ourselves with Christ, are assured of being with Christ, the head of this body that we belong to, in heaven.